energize more people to invest in all this. But unfortunately, my sense is it won't be the banks as much. Banks will lend to Kirana shops, they'll lend to auto repair shops, but they're not going to lend to fancy high-tech ventures, and you still need to rely on angels and venture capital.
So there are some very, very specific queries. I think these are from members who have got some specific complaints. So what we will do is that we'll just compile all of this and send it to you. Something about a check bouncing case, something about senior citizens. Is there any way that we can incentivize senior citizen savings far more than the 0.5% right now? So what we'll do is that we'll put all of these together and we'll send it to you. But
let me just make one point about the senior citizen savings. First, it does. I do feel a sense of sadness, of sorrow when I get letters from senior citizens saying that, look, my income has gone down because interest rates have come down. I absolutely, that's something that I care about. After all, we all know senior citizens who haven't made a huge amount of money in their lives. However, I do want to also emphasize that in a period of falling inflation, the income that you get has to be seen in the context of that lower inflation.
Yeah, sure.
Of course, what you see is just that your income has fallen, but the erosion in your principal is also lower, and that you're not seeing. That erosion has come down. Earlier, it more than dominated the income that you got. So today, I'm very, the RBI's policy has been on trying to keep a wedge so that you get a reasonable real interest rate on your savings. Now, in addition, you get a 0.5% in a number of banks for senior citizens. The problem of increasing that significantly is that we have all these channels through which investments can be made. If we make some channels overly lucrative, and I'm not saying this would make it, but I'm just saying a general principle, you will find money floating into the channels. So people who are not senior citizens may invest through their parents and so on, and it will go away from the legitimate deposits. So we can't make it so lucrative that people have an incentive to hide their ownership.
So just last two questions with your permission. One on inflation. This is from the Deccan Herald. The lag between the wholesale price index and the consumer price index should not be more than, let's say, 3 months. But the difference between both in India is astounding. Is it because the wholesale price index basket is entirely different from the consumer price index basket? If so, why are we not taking cognizance of this, and what could be done?
Well, I think others have said this before me, so I'm not repeating anything new when I say that no country in the world uses wholesale price index. We used it because it was convenient, because it was available, but the truth is the man on the street faces consumer price index.
Sure.
So we cannot pick wholesale price index only because it's lower. It turns out that it's lower because commodities in the world are falling in prices and therefore have held wholesale price index down. I have no doubt that as commodities pick up, the wholesale price index inflation will pick up. At that point, the very same people who are saying let's move to WPI will say let's move to CPI. You can't pick the index that you want. Ultimately, you have to pick the index that is relevant. And from the perspective of the individual, of the household, of the customer, of the citizen, it is a consumer price index. That's what they see, that's what they eat, that's what they live, that's what they rent.
Fantastic. So this last one, which is about China. How can we let you off without asking about China? When will we catch up, surpass China? And do you think that the Make in India program will work without scales of economy? Because all inputs, land, labor, people, power, water, are all costlier in state control.
Yeah, I think we should see China as inspiration rather than as competition. Of course, they compete in a number of areas, but as inspiration, we should see it as what a country can do in 3 decades if it focuses very strongly on what it needs to do. And what they've done is amazing. I mean, I often see people trying to pull down China. Of course, China has its problems.
Sure.
But in 3 decades, it has reached $7,500 per capita income. That's worth thinking about. We don't need to, I am the last one to say we need to follow the path they followed. We can't, because they already followed it, they're already there.
That's right.
And that path is no longer free, there's somebody occupying that path. But we can certainly take inspiration from the fact that it's possible. And since we are at a stage where they were in, say, late 1990s, early 2000s, we can hope that over the next 10, 15 years, if we do the right things, we will be where they are.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/etnow and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at etnowlive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/etnow.